The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Do you want a better America?
Are you all ready for a political revolution?
People are standing up for justice. That is what this campaign is about.
Democracy has been stolen from us.
The entire establishment came against Bernie.
The mainstream media isn't owned by the people. It's owned by rich people.
Even as Sanders did better and better in the polls, there's always sort of a new counter-narrative that was meant to sort of take him down.
We're always told that CNN and MSNBC are the anti-Trump channels. They're also the anti-Bernie channels.
One thing that we learned in this campaign is how powerful mainstream media still really is.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hey, I'm stepping it up. That is called a promo spot. So that is a 1-minute promo of an episode that you're going to get later this week. Yes, that is right. That is a promo spot on the Deep Shallow Dive. No, in all seriousness, it actually kind of is. And you know, I was able to download the entire movie called Bernie's Blackout. I've talked about this before. I did an episode way back when. And honestly, it is an incredibly powerful documentary that came out from or on Vice TV. Now you can find it on YouTube. You can actually find the full documentary on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And then also through Tubi TV for free that you can watch, and I'll put that link in the show notes as well. But anyway, this was a documentary done on the 2020 election and really how the media blacked out Bernie Sanders. It is so good, and it is so informative, and to be totally honest with you, as we head into this home stretch of the election, I think it's worth, first of all, I think it's worth watching. I mean, if you have any desire to watch it, it's an hour and 28 minutes. If you're like, no way, dude, I'm not going to waste my time watching that, don't worry about it, because I got you. Because I am going to do a good analysis of it, actually with all of the audio, and then kind of interject some thoughts to equate it to, you know, really 2024, and then even talk a little bit about 2020. So anyway, that episode is coming later this week. I thought I'd start off with a little bit of a promo. All right, let's move into a couple other things today.
Now, there's a lot of black men in here, and I don't mean to, not talk to other people, but this is important. Our black men, we got to get them out to vote. That's number one. Kamala's opponent promised a lot of things last time to the black community that he did not deliver on. And we got to make sure we help black men understand that. So that's why I'm here, to make sure I help black men understand. First, get out and vote, and then vote for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
All right, get ready. We're gonna dive in today, man. This is gonna be good stuff. All right, did you recognize that voice? I'll give you 3 guesses. 1, Hall of Fame, maybe one of the top 5 basketball players of all time. Guess number 2, if you haven't figured it out yet. He was known to have slept with 10 women in one day. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot of women. Holy mackerel. And then number 3, he contracted a virus back in the 90s, which, I don't know. It's an interesting one. All right. That was Magic Johnson. That was Irvin Magic Johnson, the Magic Man, whom, by the way, I absolutely loved growing up. I really was a huge Magic Johnson fan and Lakers fan. And actually, I'll share an interesting story that is relevant with my dad here a little bit after this. But anyway, there were two pretty insane viral situations this weekend that took place. And one was with Magic Johnson and the other was with Barack Obama. And I'm going to try to find that as well and play that also. But that was Magic talking in Flint, Michigan. And man, he set off a firestorm. And so let me preface this with saying, I mean, I can't really comment on that because I'm not a black man. So, I don't have skin in that game. But other black men did comment, and man, there was a absolute ton on especially TikTok. It looks like some of the responses to that have gotten censored on Facebook and Instagram, but TikTok was just, I mean, it was a flood of these, and it was a lot of black men, probably like, Gen X to baby boomer, not really young black guys, but kind of, 40s and 50s and some in the 60s. And I mean, basically, here is the retort from that segment.
So Magic Johnson, you reached out to us, the black men. I'm gonna tell you something, man. We seen how you raised your kids. Matter of fact, how you raised your little boy to be a strong, black, grown, independent woman. We seen that. We seen how you cheated on every female you ever been with. We seen how you bragged about sleeping with over 5,000 females, but you want to reach out to us, the black men. I'm gonna tell you something, man. We got no respect for you, okay? Don't say nothing to us. You can't talk for us, okay? You got no voice. And that's all I'm gonna say. You cut off.
All right, so the reason I'm sharing that is honestly, I think it's a different situation 2024 than it was, potentially even 2020. Now, I think 2020 was a little bit unique, but then you take it back to 2016, you take it back to 2012. 2012 was really the year, or maybe it was 2008, where, P. Diddy was, one of the primary spokespeople in the Rock the Vote campaign and, railing against Trump and railing against, 2016, he was railing against Trump, but 2008 and 2012, with Diddy, he was obviously advocating to rock the vote and really was a prominent voice in that. And my point is that, now in 2024, people are not really interested in what these people have to say anymore. And I feel like a little bit of that pedestal that, folks like Magic Johnson have been put on, even by myself. And I'm going to share this great story or great life lesson our dad taught me here in a second. But even people like Magic Johnson now, the message isn't as powerful as it used to be. And so with him in particular, what that guy was talking about in terms of him raising his son, if you're not aware, I think Magic's second son, EJ, came out gay and trans. Well, I don't think he's trans. Yeah, I think he is transgender. I mean, obviously he dresses like a woman and considers himself and identifies that way. But I don't think he's had the full-on surgery. I'll look at that. Now, again, honestly, I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is people are basically, the clips that were out were talking about, hey, who are you to tell us who to vote for as black men? When we see how you raised your kids. Now, again, that's a judgment decision, but I'll tell you the one that's not a judgment decision, I think that's pretty clear, is, Magic Johnson cheated on his wife unbelievable amounts and was, gosh, he went on national TV and did interviews about cheating on his wife, Cookie, whom, by the way, they're still together. That's, I mean, it's insane to me. It's also very interesting to me. Imagine going on CBS and doing this interview.
With several women at the same time.
Yeah. Like I said, women have different fantasies. Some want to be with 2 or 3 at a time. One time I had 6 at one time. That's just
6 women.
6 women.
Now, was that their fantasy or your fantasy?
That was both. Probably mostly mine.
I gotta tell you, you're sending me mixed messages. Because on the one hand, you're saying to me, safe sex, responsible sex, what I did was immoral. And even now, as you tell the stories, I mean, you make it sound pretty good.
I'm not sending you mixed messages. That was my life. If you ask me if I had fun, yes, I had fun. Did you reach all your fantasies? Yes, I did. But you paid for it.
All right, so that was the video he did on CBS. I mean, that thing probably was 30 years ago, but it's getting, man, all this stuff gets a second life. It's pretty crazy. And that one definitely is getting a second life. You know, people are clipping that with his comments from Flint, Michigan over the weekend. And again, I think the takeaway from it is, you know, people are God, it is an information. What the heck? How do I even want to say it? Honestly, I love it. I love it. I think that the awakening, and I'll use that word in this case, to where, you know, just because, and again, I'm not saying I don't like Magic Johnson. I do like Magic Johnson, but like the awakening that people are having to, you know, just listening to you because you're a celebrity. George Clooney being another example of that. I think people are sick of that dude, and they're just like, dude, go away. Like, we don't care what your stance is on politics, you know? People are really, really, really starting to think for themselves, and I love that. I love seeing that. All right, let me share this before I forget. So, honestly, one of the many amazing life lessons our dad taught, well, this one was particular to me because I don't think he said this to my brother. He said it to me, but, you know, growing up in Cleveland, this is funny. I was an enormous LA Rams, LA Lakers, LA Dodgers fan. So I guess maybe that somehow was subconsciously why I moved to Los Angeles when I did, and why I've kind of made life in California. Anyway, huge fan of all those three teams. I have no idea why to this date. Why did I pick, you know, Los Angeles and Los Angeles teams? Anyway, I remember this, and I think this might have been more associated with the Rams at the time versus the Lakers and Magic. But I remember the Rams losing a particular game, and I was so upset. You know, I was probably in the 6th grade at this time, 7th grade, something along those lines. I was so upset, and I remember sitting outside with my dad in Chesterland, Ohio, at our house, and I think I was crying even, which is so ridiculous now that I think about it. And then my dad kind of was like, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because the Rams lost." And he said something to me that was so, I mean, even at the time it was profound because I literally changed my overall everything, you know, at that moment, sitting on the outside stairs with my dad, and it stuck with me the entire time. And here's what he said. He said, "You know, do you get any money from these teams? Does the Rams pay you? Are you literally," he equated it to money, which again, as a 6th grader, I don't really know how much money was even in my thought process, but for some reason, you know, the way he described it and the way he equated, let's say, the Rams' success or progress or whatever to my own personal success and progress, and basically made me realize I don't get anything out of this. I mean, I guess I get some satisfaction and some, you know, short-term happiness, but as far as financial success, it doesn't benefit me if the Rams win or lose. So why am I letting it affect my life so much? And that was seriously unbelievably impactful. I changed my, you know, really my association and just my feelings when it came to, let's say, professional sports at that time, and I think it probably bled over to celebrities later in my life, to where I was like, I'm not going to let this ruin my life. I'm not getting anything out of this. And I equate that right now to politics. And so I've had this discussion with a few of my friends, and I mean, it's worked on a couple, it's not worked on others, but people that are not willing to question anything. Like, let's say anything I've ever talked about on this podcast, you're just like, no, that doesn't make sense. No. CNN says this, Fox says this. And again, I want to stress that. CNN says this, Fox says this. This is not a right or left thing. This is seriously a big picture thing. If you're not open to looking at everything and really using your own critical thinking, I'd ask you, what are you getting out of this? Similar to my situation with the Rams. You're not on the Democrats' payroll. You're not on the Republicans' payroll. Well, maybe some of you guys are on one of those payrolls. I don't know. But overall, you're not on their payroll. You're not getting anything out of this. You're not getting any personal benefit outside of, let's say, how the overall politics, affect things. It's not like they are, again, they're not benefiting you by closing your mind and thought process to what's going on outside of what you think your party, is correct in. And then secondly, again, when somebody questions something that the Republicans have done, when I question, let's say, the ulterior play with J.D. Vance, or when I question the bigger picture ulterior play that took place with, let's say, COVID-19 and the 2020 election and all of that, it's like, why not have that discussion? Why not talk about it? We are not being compensated by those people in order to not talk about it. Some people definitely are, but I don't think most of us, normal everyday citizens are being compensated. So don't get defensive about things. Keep an open mind when you listen to things, keep an open mind to everything, because again, it's just absolutely insane to think that your party or whomever is doing everything right. And I'm telling you, they're not. And that's exactly why, I became an independent voter, because again, I want to think for myself. All right. Anyway, so that was the magic thing. I had to play this clip because, man, it's just so good. And I think after everything we've been through, this probably makes more sense now.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
All right, sorry, that was a little bit loud with the background music. Did you recognize that voice? Got to start testing you guys. That's the GOAT. That was Julian Assange. And that was probably one of the interviews that he did that started him down his descent path of getting put in jail and all of that stuff. But, again, I wanted to play that because I reposted that over the weekend on the Deep Shallow Dive Instagram page. And, man, it got probably 60,000 overall views and a lot of comments. Let me read a few of these that I really liked. It makes a lot of sense. Other people have said that the Afghanistan war was plagued by corruption. The U.S. government stretched the occupation of Afghanistan as long as it could with the help of the media under the false pretense that it was building democracy. Here's another one. The Afghanistan war definitely is probably the best example of a forever war. But take a look now, we've got Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen. You don't really hear much about Syria or Yemen, so let's focus on Gaza and Ukraine. Those are the new forever wars that seem to just be going on and sucking taxpayer dollar after taxpayer dollar. Man, that was an insightful comment by somebody. Here's another one. This is why, man, that community on Instagram is lively. It said, this is a great clip. You should look into the Tonkin Gulf incident because that was a confirmed false flag. The Viet Cong did not shoot first. Rinse and repeat everywhere all over the world. Wake up. Anyway, that clip is good. And, the comments, again, I guess they reinforce the theme that started with Magic where, people are they're really starting to think for themselves. And if you are someone right now that is like, maybe I should start thinking for myself, I would support that. And I would highly encourage you to kind of take that approach. Man, there is definitely there's a shift, man. There really is a shift, and it is growing stronger and stronger and stronger. So the question's going to become, is it going to be allowed to grow, or is it going to be stifled? And I'll give you the first line of battle. It's going to be TikTok. I mean, TikTok over the past week, 14 attorney generals from various states filed another lawsuit against them. And we've talked all about how, the United States government has given kind of an ultimatum to ByteDance in order to spin off TikTok from their parent company ByteDance, which they say is heavily influenced by the Chinese government, and therefore they do not want TikTok to be a foreign company. They want it to be an American company. So then, the question becomes what would really happen to TikTok? And, they've given them the ultimatum. I think we're approaching like 90 days out where supposedly they will then, I don't know if they can shut them down or get them out of the app store or something, but obviously it's a big deal, especially for content creators, that some of them make a significant living off of TikTok, which is amazing and good for them. All right, let's see. You know what? I'm going to save the Obama clip from this weekend because I actually can't find the version that I want. But let me play you something else. And last week when I talked about how I think it was the Patrick Bet David quote that he put on Twitter where he said, pay attention. You're going to have a lot of people coming out of the woodwork backing Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. And I think I brought up Mark Cuban as, again, somebody that it's weird to me. It's weird how visceral and vitriol he's gotten about Trump and about Elon Musk and really just how much noise he's trying to make. So it makes you think, okay, is he compromised or does he have ulterior motives in terms of running for politics himself? So give this a listen from over the weekend.
Meaning the mainstream media is not who you think it is. The mainstream media truly leans right. Maybe. When you're second in command, you do what your boss tells you to do. He delegates authority to you.
But the border was supposed to be her.
Yeah, but it's still the same thing. It's his policies. What he said to her was, you go down and you use diplomacy to try to improve, to try to reduce the flow, the migration of people across the border, right? And when they finally came around, and it took too long, I agree, but when they finally got there, now look at the results. It didn't take a wall, but yet the crossing numbers are where Trump's were when pre-pandemic, at the same number. So it worked. So what she did actually worked.
We can look at exactly what happened. He's already been president, and we can look at what happened when she was vice president, and it's not good. The comparison.
Being the president, Joe, as you know, is different than being vice president. It's not close, right?
So she can take credit for the good things that happened with Biden, but she didn't have anything to do with the bad things.
Trump
in the past, there have been Democrats that have voted not to certify.
Yeah, that's fine.
Many
right?
times.
That's fine. But
previous elections,
none of them called their vice president a pussy and said, "Don't certify the election." Donald Trump, being the socialist that he is, had to beat Bernie. So Donald Trump went out and recommended that interest rate caps be set to 10%. The fact that he's even suggesting price controls and price caps is socialism 101.
So that was Cuban on CNBC, which is pretty wild that he said PUSSY. But let me recap that a little bit because, again, I know that was a lot to, oh my God, what word am I looking for? Digest. Okay, there you go. All right, so he said the mainstream media leans right, not left. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The mainstream media collectively absolutely leans to the left. Obviously, Fox leans to the right for the most part, but even Fox is like a chameleon. Fox and Rupert Murdoch and that whole world, they lean to the green. Lean to the green. I just made that up. All right. And then he said, Kamala Harris has done a good job protecting the southern border. I mean, come on. That's insane to even make that statement. She's done a terrible job with the southern border. Then he talked about being vice president is not even close to being president. Therefore, Kamala can't be blamed for bad things in the Biden administration. I mean, again, I'll agree with she's not the top dog, but here's the thing. And the CNBC commentator, I thought, did a great job of calling that out, where he was like, okay, so she distances herself from the bad things, but then she tries to take credit for the good things. So, that's not fair. That's not cohesive. I think that makes sense. All right. And then he talked about Democrats voting to not certify elections is fine, but when Trump wants to do it, it's bad. I mean, again, that's so hypocritical. Like, certifying elections should not be a controversial topic. The other one, which, by the way, this blows me away, this whole voter ID thing to me is insane. You have to show ID to do everything in this country. You want to book a airline ticket, you want to open up a bank account, you want to check out a book in the library. I think you have to show an ID for that. I haven't checked out a book in a library in a long time. But showing an ID is everything and everywhere. But then you don't need to show one to vote for the president of the United States and to vote for all the different issues and ballots and measures. I think that's pretty hypocritical. You can't have to show an ID, for everything, let alone buying alcohol, buying a gun. I mean, forget that stuff. I'm talking normal, everyday transactions. And then I just don't understand how anyone could be against the mandate to show an ID for voting. That's crazy to me. And then the last one, Cuban, I just think he's just so unhinged, is Donald Trump is definitely not a socialist. I mean, how do you even call that guy a socialist? He is like the capitalist with a capital C, if there ever was one. And again, I think that's one of the reasons so many people love him, because he advocates for that. So anyway, that was just an example of, like, I don't know, keep an eye out for more stuff. I think Mark Cuban's gonna be more boisterous. And so when you listen to him, try and like take it all in and be like, does that make sense to me or does that not make sense to me? So far, pretty much everything he's talked about, it just doesn't make sense to me. It makes me think either he's got an ulterior motive and is going to run as a Democrat in 2028. Maybe it's just that. Or what did he do? What did he do? I don't know. I just don't know. All right, I seriously want to keep going a little bit, but I'm at 27 minutes and I feel like I always need to try to keep these things under 30. By the way, I would love some feedback from everybody. In terms of the length of these episodes, like, is this what we want? Do we want to stick with the 20 to 30 minute, sweet spot? Or do you want me to go longer? Because honestly, I can go longer. Absolutely. I'm basically at 3 days a week right now in terms of podcasting. And maybe with the 3 days a week, I don't know. You guys tell me. Send me some feedback if you want these to go a little bit longer at 3 days a week. Maybe when I get back to really being able to put an episode out Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, I'll keep those at the 20 minutes. But regardless, I'd be open to some feedback. All right, I'm gonna start taking us out on good viral music related fun clips that are getting a lot of traction. And there's a lot of these mashups that are so good. I love this stuff. I love music, by the way. It really invigorates me. So anyway, call a spade a spade. Have a great day. Here's a mashup for you that you didn't know you needed until you hear it.
It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.